Hi, welcome back to Max Nave Horsemanship again today. And I'm going to change things up just a tiny bit today. Today's subject, not going to be super important or real serious. We're going to talk about something that's going to be, well, it should be informative, hopefully, entertaining, educational maybe. And, well, at the very least, I hope it's going to get you thinking, because I've said many times early on in my videos that uh, largely the purpose of my videos is to make you think. And, well, don't just take things at face value all the time. Think about it a bit. And is it really true or not? And, well, does it make sense? Does it work? Things like that. Today, our topic is going to be color. Colors of horses. And there's a few misconceptions on colors that I think, well, hopefully this will help clear up, because I discovered that there's actually a lot of people out there that don't know this stuff. And although I'm no expert on this stuff because I don't breed or anything like that, so I'm not necessarily an expert, but as many of you know watching my videos, you quite often will see a gray or two in the background. And, well, because I've owned a few, I've done a little research on them, and they're a rather unique phenomenon in themselves when it comes to color. And I'll talk about them too, a little more extensively actually than the others, but I'm going to go get a couple horses and move to a little different spot, and we're going to talk about colors, because I think there's some things to talk about. Maybe you don't know, maybe you do. If nothing else, hopefully this will get you thinking about it. Back in a minute. Well, we're back again with you. And yes, I am in a round pen, but I'm not going to talk about the round pen, and the round pen is completely inconsequential, has nothing to do with what we're going to talk about today. But you will notice there's a couple horses behind me right now, and we'll get to them in a minute. First, I want to talk about just horse color in general, and how horses change a lot, and over time, actually sometimes suddenly, sometimes over time. And this is a phenomena that I've seen a lot of people talking about and going, that's weird, I bought this horse, it was a certain color, and there he goes again, always in my way. And all of a sudden it's a different color now. Well, that's actually not that unusual, particularly the first few years of life. Now, I'm generalizing a lot, because there's going to be exceptions to every rule. Don't crucify me when you think I'm wrong about something, because yeah, there's exceptions. I'm generalizing a lot, but most horses will tend to change color. Now, not all of them. Some of them will stay the same color their whole life, or pretty darn close. But a lot of them, particularly in the first few years of life, they will change color quite a bit. And some horses, as they age, gradually change color over a period of, say, 10 years or something like that. And another phenomena that I've noticed is quite common is most horses, and I say most because the grays are an exception to this, and I'll get to them in a minute, is they'll get darker in the winter and lighter in the summer. There can actually be quite a difference in the color depending on the season. That's not an unusual thing to see. And there he goes again. I don't know, he thinks he has to do circles because he's in a round pen? I don't know. Anyhow, so now I got a theory on that one. Why they do that is that in the wintertime they get darker because the darker colors absorb more heat from the sun, helps them stay warmer in the cooler weather. I don't know, just a theory. I've never heard anybody truly discussing it much. I've never read any articles on the subject. It's just something that I've noticed. It's fairly obvious in quite a few horses I've seen, and I'm talking like I've been in, around herds of, 30, 40 horses type thing, where I've seen most of the horses there will actually change color with the seasons. And that is something that you will commonly see. Now, so don't be surprised if your horse changes color, okay? That happens. It happens with the seasons, it happens with age, and sometimes they will do a drastic change during the first couple of years of their life, well, depending on the horse. And here he comes again. Nice guy. Particularly Excuse me, sir, you're in my way. And like I said, particularly seasonally and particularly the first couple of years of their life. And with some horses, it'll be a gradual change over a period of maybe 10 years or something like that. But it's not unusual for a horse to change colors. You know, and a lot of people don't seem to realize that that is a normal thing. And if you see me doing a lot of swatting, the bug's really bad out here today, in spite of the fact there's a pretty good breeze. There seems to be an awful lot of mosquitoes around. And for those of you that live in places where there's lots of bugs that bite, I think you can relate a little bit. Now, we've talked about the phenomena in most horses, most colors. But grays are a little different. This is where grays are a little bit backwards. And I don't understand why. I have no reasoning for this one. But of all colors of horses, grays tend to actually get lighter in the winter and darker in the summer. I have no idea why. Don't know. But I'm also going to show you a few other things about grays that are kind of fascinating. For those of you that don't know, most grays are born black. Actually, I should back up a little bit, because a lot of grays look very white. And some of them will be, well, I even had one, it was pretty much pure white. And it was up in its years, it was in its 20s, and it was pretty much pure white. But there's actually no such thing as a white horse. They're all, these are, even though they look really white, these are grays. They're what's referred to as grays. There are no white horses. That's a misconception a lot of people have, is they think there's white horses. No, there aren't. The only horses that are actually born white are ones that have something called lethal white syndrome. And I think there's a couple other names for it as well. They're born white, and it's generally an indication that they're malformed on the inside and they are not going to live. They will generally die not long after birth. Maybe they'll live a week. But the most humane thing you can do if a horse is born white, have it put down. That's the most humane thing you can do, because they're not going to live. That's why it's called lethal white syndrome, because they're going to die. Their innards aren't developed properly. They don't have a complete digestive system or something to that effect. I don't know all of the details. All I know is there is no such thing as a white horse, just grays. Well, anything that looks pretty much snow white sometimes, they're still referred to as a gray. And grays come in a lot of different shades too. Some of them are much darker, some of them are more of an actual gray than white. And well, I'm also going to show you a few things on this one over here, because she's got some really interesting things going on that I've never seen on another horse. Now this one here is really interesting, because she's done a couple things that I've never seen any other horse do when it comes to color. Because when she was younger, I've had this horse for quite a while, and then I sold her, and then I bought her back, and well, that's a long story, but actually it's part of the story, because she actually used to be a dapple gray. Now she's what's called a flea-bitten gray. Now if you'll notice on her front shoulder area, and even on her cheeks, she's got these little speckles on her. I don't know if you can see real good. I'll bring you in a little closer. You'll notice on her shoulders and on her face, she's got these speckles. That's what's referred to as a flea-bitten gray. Now, what she used to be is a dapple gray. And when she was a dapple gray, the dapples, which are circular markings, were more predominant on her back end. Her rump area, well, that area there. This isn't mine, this is the other one. But he's also a flea-bitten gray. And I should mention something about the color is it's not exclusive to any one breed. These two horses are not related whatsoever, completely different breeds. The one right in front of us here, this guy here, he's actually a paint. And typically paints are white and brown or white and black or something to that effect. This one over here, half Arab, half Andalusian. Certain breeds are a little more common to be gray than others, but it's not exclusive to any one breed. You can have just about any breed of horse can be a gray, or white if you prefer, but it's actually a gray, that's what they call it. But like I said, this one is interesting because as you know, the age, the color changes. Grays are typically born black. She was born black, believe it or not. And one of the things that I have discovered about the gray color gene, Technically, a gray is what they refer to as a dilute black. And if you ever part the hairs on a gray and take a look at their skin, the skin is actually black. They're born black, and within the first few years of life, they start turning into a gray. And the older they get, the lighter color they get, usually. Now, something you'll notice on these two here, you'll notice on the one that's right in front of us right now, her mane and tail are quite light. In fact, their mane is almost white. This one here, you'll notice, although it's kind of hard to see right now because of the direction it's going, his mane is fairly dark yet. He's a little bit younger. As he ages, that will get lighter. Not always, but usually they will. And to the point where they're pretty much pure white. Although there's another interesting phenomenon with this one here that you're looking at right now. She's actually getting darker over the age. Her mane and tail are getting lighter, but the dapples, and I noticed particularly this year, her shoulder area there is getting a lot darker. The speckles, not dapples, the flea-bitten marks are actually getting a lot darker. And that's unusual. That's not a common thing. And I thought I'd share that with you. So she's not only switched from a dapple to a flea-bitten, but as she ages, she's actually getting lighter. Well, in some places, and darker in others, which is unusual. That's not something they normally do. And this is kind of a good comparison right here. You can see the tails of both of them, how the one's a little darker than the other. He's a few years younger. And I'm guessing in a few years, his tail's probably going to be pretty much the same color as hers, which is quite light. And that is common with grays. And so I say, you know, this is the interesting thing about horses is when it comes to color, they change. And these ones are no exception. And this one here, she's a little interesting on a good day. And she's been changing colors. Like I said, the one thing she's done that I've never seen happen before is switching from a dapple to a flea-bitten. Very unusual. I've never seen it happen on another horse. And that's why I thought I'd talk about it today. I didn't actually get to witness it. I actually, when I sold her, she was a dapple gray. When I bought her back and she come off the trailer, it's like all of a sudden I'm like, wow, is this the same horse? Well, she has a very unique personality, to say the least, and the rest of her markings, including the brand on her and everything, said, yep, that's the same horse. Her coloring had changed went from a dapple to flea-bitten. Really bizarre. Like I said, I've never seen it happen before. And the fact that the flea-bitten on her is getting more predominant all the time is kind of interesting. As you can see, her mane has gotten pretty much white, but her shoulders and her face hasn't changed much, but the shoulders have. The shoulder area is getting definitely darker. There's more speckles on it all the time. I'm going to actually pop a picture in this video of what she used to look like so you can compare the two looks side by side. It's an example of how they get lighter as they age. I got a picture of her when she's fairly young. She had a lot more gray on her. She was a lot darker color, but it also, you can really clearly see the dapples on her, and you can see how she's changed from a dapple to a flea-bitten, which is totally unusual. But that was what I wanted to talk about today is, you know, a gray can be virtually anything. I've seen quite a few different breeds actually that are grays. There's very few that are not. You know, depending on the breed, it is a little less common in some than others. But as a rule, no, just about any horse can end up being a gray, and they are a little bit unique. And in fact, grays are referred to as the horse of kings. So if you they have their issues too. So there you go, folks. A little bit on horse collars. Have a good day.